Hey, what's up everybody? Dennis the Prescott here. Today, we're talking about the very first lens that I ever bought and a great option for food photography. We're rocking on the 35mm. So I fell in love with food photography when I was living in Nashville, Tennessee. I was a full-time musician and we moved from Canada to Nashville and relocated. We were recording out of some studios and that kind of thing. And I started shooting food and cooking and I loved it. I loved every second of it. And initially I started shooting on a cell phone, and then I moved home to Canada and I decided I got these projects, so I should probably invest in quality gear. And I found it super overwhelming. Like, you comb the internet, try to find what the best lens option, the best camera option, and everybody's got an opinion on which the best is. It's really difficult to kind of navigate those internet waters. Ultimately, I landed on a 35mm lens. That was gonna be the first one I was gonna spend quality money on, buy a nice piece of glass, and really learn how to take quality images with a DSLR. Here's a few reasons why I think that it's a great option for food photography and a great all-around lens. So number one, it's a great storytelling lens. So it kind of goes without saying that photography is about storytelling. Oftentimes in the food photography world, we kind of neglect the storytelling aspect. We take photos really quickly, we want to capture that moment. We forget to include the surroundings. We forget to tell a really contextualized story. Sometimes that macro shot, that tight shot of water droplets on cherries or blueberries, or that kind of thing tells a great story, and it does, and it's amazing. But oftentimes you want to include more of the scene, and a 35mm is a great option for that. Most people who are shooting food photos aren't shooting in studio spaces with kind of big cameras and diffusers and lights and strobes and whatever. They're shooting at restaurants. They're shooting when they go out to lunch or when they go out to dinner with their friends and family, and they want to capture that moment. So if you bring a 50mm, which is highly used in the food photography world, and it's a great lens for shooting food photos, to a restaurant, to get the same shot that you're going to get with a 35, you're basically going to have to stand on a chair or maybe on the table. What those 15mm actually do is they give you room to contextualize your story. You can add things like a hand pouring some wine, some hands with cutlery. You can add a chef in the background. You just have more space. You have more room to be able to tell a story. And as food photographers, ultimately our job is to make people hungry. And a lot of that comes from adding the nostalgic aspect of food, from adding the human element. You want to create something where you're a fly on the wall and you're looking into someone's actual dining experience. And if you want to tell a story that has more context, that tells more of the scene, a wider lens is going to allow you to do that. And a 35 is a great option for that. All right, so the second reason is it's a prime lens. So prime lenses, what is that? If you've never heard the term prime lens before, it's a fixed focal length. That means if we're talking about a 35mm, it's always a 35mm. It doesn't zoom, there's no zoom option. That might seem slightly restrictive if you're coming from a zoom lens world, or if somebody said, hey, I've got this lens, it's a 500 to 3000mm lens. You're like, hey, that's awesome, I wanna get that. So with all the lens options out there, and there's a ton, why do I continue to come back to prime lenses, and specifically a 35mm more often than not for my food photos? The first reason, honestly, is it's an active style of photography. Prime lenses force you to move to find the shot. You have to find the composition physically. You can't zoom in and out. So you have to walk to find that light. And when I was living in Nashville, Tennessee, and then I moved home to Canada and shooting here, I had to find the light. I had to walk around the subject to figure out where the light was, what the best composition is. I couldn't get comfortable zooming in and out. Even today, I shoot a lot on tripods, and if you're shooting inside, I would super recommend that you shoot on a tripod if you're shooting food photography. I never put my camera on my tripod until I find my composition. I want to be able to walk around that subject to find the best light possible, the best composition possible, and I never want to get in a rut where I'm just in the same spot, kind of zooming in and out. I think that being active in your photography is what allows you to find those shots, those interesting compositions that are different, that are unique to you, that not everyone is shooting. And shooting on a prime lens really helps you to do that because you're forced to physically move. The other thing is that prime lenses are tack sharp. And whether I'm shooting images for the Instagram or for the web or for commercial shoots or for magazines or things like a cookbook, I never want to compromise on quality. I want to make sure that the image looks the best that it possibly can in any format. And there's something uniquely sharp about prime lenses. Can you get a great image out of a zoom lens? Of course, and I shoot them a lot, but there's something special about prime lenses. There's something that continues to bring me back to prime lenses. And a 35, I find there's a quality in that lens that is unique. It's amazing. It's the most natural looking lens to what your eye actually sees. It's just a really particularly beautiful focal length. It's tack sharp. It's really kind of just an all around amazing lens. The other thing about prime lenses is that they're fast aperture lenses. You can open them super wide. They shoot at something like 1.4 or 1.8 for the most part, and that means you get this amazingly tack sharp subject with a beautifully blown out, dreamy kind of background area to create this very specific kind of shot that you might not be able to get with a zoom lens. You can get something close to that, but you're probably not gonna get the same look. And if that's the creative vision that you're looking to actualize, a prime lens will allow you to do that. All right, number 3, flat lays. All right, it is no secret that I love flat lay images. If you look at my Instagram, most of those photos are flat lays. There's a reason for that, honestly. I love showing the collision of food and community at the table, having these big feasts. I know for me, I like to eat that way. I wanna eat with a big group of people. I just love it, and I know that I'm not alone. So I like to show those scenes. If you wanna shoot a flat lay image, a wide lens is your best friend. Something like a 35mm is king. A 24mm is also a really great flat lay option if you're looking. In my experience though, a 35mm is really kind of the most all-round great on your camera lens for everything. Shoots amazing travel, amazing street photography, and specifically what we're talking about, food photography. Really great for those flat lay images, but it also is very close focusing. So if you want those 90-degree angles, if you want those close-up shots, you can get that too, or you can back away and get those great flat lays. Just an all-around great lens. And the last thing, it's just a great all-around everything lens. So what does that mean? It's an amazing lens, first off, for video. We're shooting on it right now, actually, a 35mm lens. And we shoot it a lot in these kind of cooking tutorial, me on camera kind of videos. We shoot it a lot for B-roll. It's an amazing video option. I've shot it for street photography and travel photography in the past year, literally all over the world. I took it to Kenya and Italy and the UK and the Dominican Republic, and I shot images of all shapes and sizes, both food photos and just generalized travel photos. It's an incredibly useful focal length, regardless of what you shoot. So those are just like a few reasons why I really love a 35mm focal length. If you haven't shot one before, super recommend that you borrow one from a friend or rent one or try it out. Really think that you'll fall in love with it, and I hope you love it as much as I do. If you're already shooting on a prime lens, I'd love to know what you love, what focal length you're shooting on. Comment below and let me know. If you're not subscribed already, I would love you to be part of this community. Hang out regularly, hit that subscribe button, and we'll see you next week for more deliciousness.